Welcome back. Today I have a homework problem from one of our viewers. I'm going to break down how to simplify this expression step by step, so feel free to skip around if you already know how to do a particular step. Remember, if you have a homework problem that you would like for me to make a video on, you can email it to me at acrossthetabletutoring@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's jump into this problem. We have x plus 1 times 3x squared minus 7x plus 4 divided by 3x squared minus 3 divided by 6x minus 8 over x. There's going to be a couple of steps to this problem. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to factor everything that we can, break it down into simplest chunks possible. The next thing that we're going to do is we need to look for all of the x values that make this expression undefined. What does that mean? That means we are going to look for all of the different values of x that would cause us to be dividing by 0. Because dividing by 0 is something we're just not allowed to do in math. All right, so let's move this up and out of the way and get started. The first thing that I notice is that this side over here is already factored. This x plus 1. There is no further factorization. But because I am working with rational expressions all the way across, it would probably behoove us to turn it into a fraction. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll have x plus 1 over 1. And that'll be the first part of our expression. Next, let's take a look at this numerator. We are going to factor it out. 3x squared minus 7x plus 4. Multiplying the a value times the c value will give us 12. So we need something that multiplies to make 12 and adds together to make a negative 7. The two values that we're looking for are negative 3 and negative 4. So we're going to use these values to expand out our b term. We'll have 3x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 4. And now from here, we're going to factor by grouping. The first thing we can factor out on this side is 3x, and that will leave us with x minus 1. And then for the right binomial, we can factor out a negative 4. And that will leave us with x minus 1. This means that the fully factored version of this numerator is going to be 3x minus 4 times x minus 1. All right, let's clear out some space and then work on the denominator. The denominator that we're working with is 3x squared minus 3. This one is going to be a bit faster to go through because the first thing that I see is I can pull out a 3 and get x squared minus 1. This is a difference of squares, so it can be expanded into x plus 1, x minus 1, multiplied by each other. And don't forget to bring down the 3. From here, we're going to take all of this and plug it in to the denominator here. So over 3 times x plus 1 times x minus 1. Let's clear off some more space. And let's start simplifying this numerator. For this numerator, we're going to have 6x minus 8. And the only thing I can see to factor out of here would be a 2. And that would leave us with 3x minus 4. So this will become our numerator. Let's go ahead and write that in. 2 times 3x minus 4. Oh, and this is divided. Don't forget that. And now let's go ahead and write in this x. There is nothing we can really do to factor out or simplify that x. That x is just going to be x. Now that we have everything expanded out, we need to look for all the values that x is not allowed to be. The way we figure out what values x is not allowed to be is we need to look for all the different ways this can cause us to divide by 0. Let's look at this first fraction here. Is there anything that we can plug in for x that would cause us to be dividing by 0? Well, no. The only thing that we were dividing by is this 1, so we don't have to worry about this one over here. So let's look at our next one over here. What would cause us to divide by 0? Well, because multiplying anything by 0 will result in 0. If this can turn into 0, or if this can turn into 0, then the entire denominator would become 0, and that would cause us to be dividing by 0. So what would turn this factor into 0? Well, it would be if x is negative 1. What would turn this factor into 0? Well, that's if x is positive 1. So x cannot be a negative 1, and it cannot be a positive 1. And this is going to be a set. Now, let's look at this one over here. What would cause us to be dividing by 0? Well, the very clear answer is if x was equal to 0, because we have a 0, or we have an x in the denominator. So if that x became a 0, we would be dividing by 0. That means x cannot be equal to 0. Finally, there is a tricky hidden number that we have to exclude as well. And that is because we are dividing by this whole value here. Because we're dividing by that fraction, that whole fraction cannot become equal to 0. How do you make a fraction equal to 0? Well, if the numerator of a fraction becomes equal to 0, then the whole fraction is 0. So this cannot be equal to 0. Because we already have it factored out, we can just look at the singular factor here, this 3x minus 4, because if that becomes equal to 0, 2 times 0 is 0. So let's see what x value would make that equal to 0. 3x minus 4 equal to 0. To solve that, add 4 to both sides. 3x is equal to 4, and then divide both sides by 3. So for that to become equal to 0, x would need to be 4/3. So that is the fourth value that we are not allowed to use. X cannot be negative 1, 1, 0, or 4/3. Now that we have all of those values excluded that we cannot use, let's start canceling out factors. Let's start reducing this down to as simple of an expression as possible. The first thing that I notice is I have an x minus 1 and an x minus 1 as factors in both the numerator and the denominator. So let's cancel those out. And when this gets multiplied across, everything in the numerator is times everything in the denominator. I'm sorry, everything in the numerator is times everything in the numerator, and everything in the denominator is times everything in the denominator. So we also see here, we will have an x plus 1 and an x plus 1 in both the numerator and the denominator. So let's cancel those out as well. So this now on the left side is simplified to 3x minus 4 over 3, because 1 times 3 is 3. And this is going to be divided by 2 times 3x minus 4 over x. When we are dividing two fractions, we're going to use the keep, change, flip rule. That means we are going to keep this the same. We are going to change the division into multiplication, and then we are going to flip this fraction upside down. We're going to take the reciprocal of it. So keep, change, flip. Let's rewrite it. Keep the 3x minus 4 over 3, change the division into multiplication, and flip this into x over 2 times 3x minus 4. Now, from here, when we multiply these together, it will be everything in the numerator times everything in the numerator, everything in the denominator times everything in the denominator. So we can once again start canceling out factors, because I have a 3x minus 4 in the numerator, I have a 3x minus 4 in the denominator. So I can cancel both of those out. Finally, that will leave us with a simplified expression. The only thing we have in the numerator is this x, well, x times 1, but it will just be x. And then in the denominator, we have 3 times 2, which is 6. So we have our simplified expression, x over 6, as long as x is not equal to -1, 1, 0, or 4/3. That is all I have for you today. If you found this video to be helpful, consider liking and subscribing. And if you have a topic you would like for me to cover in the future, leave it down in the comments below. If you have a homework problem you would like for me to go through, you can send it to me at acrossthetabletutoring@gmail.com. As always, have a fantastic day.